Today I'm going to show you how to do 1 point perspective. And we are going to be drawing an indoor room in 1 point perspective. So the materials you'll need are paper, a ruler, and a pencil with an eraser. It's good to do perspective drawing with a pencil because you are going to have lots of lines that you'll end up wanting to erase. So it's also good to draw lightly so that you can erase if you need to. So the first thing I'm going to do is lightly line my ruler up parallel to the top of my paper. So this ruler is parallel to the top here, and I'm going to lightly draw a horizon line. The horizon line is less important in 1 point perspective than it is in other perspectives like 2 or 3 point perspective, which we will learn later on, but it's still good to just lightly draw it. Then I'm going to add my vanishing point. Vanishing point is really important. Okay, you always need to use your vanishing point. You don't want to make it too big because then you could line up your ruler with different parts of it and throw off your perspective. I'm making mine a little bigger so that you can see it well, but yours doesn't need to be quite that big. The next thing I'm going to do is draw a rectangle around the vanishing point, and I'm lining up my ruler, again, parallel to the top of the paper, and I'm going to make a line here. This rectangle that I make right now is going to be the back wall of the room. I'm making the side parallel to the side of the paper. Other side, again, parallel to the side of the paper. And the bottom, I think I want it like that, parallel to either the bottom of the paper or the horizon line. Okay, now I can erase these extra lines. All right, now the next thing I'm going to do is line up my ruler with the vanishing point and the corner of the box that I just drew, not the vanishing point and the corner of the paper. Okay, so that's something that people forget about a lot. They go to make these lines and they line up the vanishing point with the corner of their paper instead of the corner of the rectangle they just drew. So you can see how different that would be like down here. I don't want to do that. I want to line it up with the corner of the rectangle that I just drew. Okay, so vanishing point, corner of the rectangle. Right to the edge of the paper, right off the paper, but not to the corner. Unless it happens to go exactly to the corner, but it most likely won't. All right, vanishing point to the edge of that rectangle. Draw that line. Again, up here. And again. It's important to take your time in lining your ruler up when you're drawing in perspective. It just makes a really big difference in the accuracy of your drawing when you do that. Okay? Now I'm going to erase this because we won't need it anymore, and I'm going to erase the horizon line here. So like I said, you don't have to draw the horizon line necessarily when you're working on a 1 point perspective. It's going to be a lot more important with 2 and 3 point perspective, but you can. Okay, so now we have this back room of our wall. So this rectangle is the back room. This is the right side wall over here. This is the left side wall. This is the floor, and this is the ceiling. Okay. I think the first thing I want to do is draw a door. Now, when I'm drawing on the back wall in 1 point perspective, I want to make my lines parallel to the other lines. So I'm going to draw a vertical line right now, and I'm lining up my ruler parallel to that vertical side wall of the room. It's also parallel to the edge of the paper. Okay, and then I think I want my door to be about that big. Again, keeping my ruler parallel. Oops. Remember, we work in pencil so that we can fix any mistakes. And then now I have a horizontal line. I want it to be parallel to the top of the rectangle or to the top of the paper. Okay, and then I can draw a handle right here, a doorknob. And then I could add more to that door, like a window on it if I wanted to. I'm going to move on for now. So now I want to draw a bed. And the first thing that I'm going to do is decide where I want the bed to end, like where I want the end of the bed to be. I think I want it to be about here. So I'm going to draw a vertical line, and this vertical line needs to be parallel to the edge of the paper. So I'm lining up my ruler. I'm going to make a line that's about that long. Next thing I'm going to do is make the bottom of the bed over here. So going to line up my ruler parallel to the bottom of the paper. Make that line. It might be longer than I need it, but I can always erase later. I'm going to make the top of the back of the bed, if that makes sense. So I'm lining my ruler up parallel to the other horizontal lines. Always taking the time to line things up well. Okay. Now I'm going to adjust those lines later. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my ruler, line it up from this corner of the bed to the vanishing point. Okay? So from the top left corner of that part of the bed that I drew to the vanishing point, and I'm just going to draw this line to the edge of the wall. It's okay if you want to draw your line all the way to the vanishing point. That's fine, you'll just erase that later. But if that helps you, you can definitely do that. So now I know that this is where the top of my bed is gonna go on the back wall, okay? So now I'm gonna draw a horizontal line, horizontal parallel, right? Take your time to line it up, right? Okay, good. Now I'm going to use my vanishing point to create the right side of the bed. So I line my ruler up with my vanishing point, and I create that line for the right side of the bed, like that. Okay, and now I need to add the bottom right corner of the bed, lining up the ruler parallel to the vertical lines in my drawing. There we go. Now I know I can erase this line. Line up that bottom right corner of the bed with the vanishing point. Okay, that line has to come from the vanishing point. And then where the bed hits the floor there, I'm gonna add that right side. Vertical line parallel to the other vertical lines. Take your time and line it up. draw your lines lightly. You can always go over them later. And I can erase that line. Now, this is kind of tricky, so don't worry if you need to practice a few times before you get it, okay? But now I have the bed, and I can erase these inside lines because they would not show through the bed, right? So I can erase this one. I can erase this one. So it's good to draw lightly when you're starting out. I'm going to erase this one. Things always get smaller as they go towards the vanishing point. So you can see how these lines go towards the vanishing point and the bed gets smaller. It's bigger the closer we are to it, and our perspective is like the other side of the room looking in towards this back wall. Okay, now I like to add like a headboard. I'm just going to continue this vertical line up, always using my ruler. And then the horizontal line of the headboard will be parallel to this line, parallel to my other horizontal lines in my drawing. Okay. Now, once you have your guide lines, if you want things to be curved, you can use these guidelines to create curved forms like you can do this however you want to. And then I can use this straight line as a guide to maybe create a more curved line, but it's following the same basic spatial relationships as the straight line had. Okay, so maybe I want the headboard to be like curved like that. And then I can erase this line. I can also add pillows now. Make lots of little lines when you're sketching things. Don't worry about it being all the way accurate right away. That's why we use pencil. Okay, so I got some pillows there. Maybe I want to erase these lines. And maybe I want the bedspread to start like right here. Probably wouldn't be quite that straight across in real life, so you can switch that around if you want. You can draw a bedspread. Keep in mind the ways to make perspective. So thinking about how things that are farther away are smaller. And they get bigger as they get closer, right? So if I'm drawing a bedspread with flowers on it, maybe the flowers get a little bit bigger the closer they get. They would probably go over the corner of the bedspread, but you could continue them down. I'm going to stop for time's sake so I can move on, but you can spend time embellishing your forms here. All right, so now I think I want to make a window over here. Line up my ruler with the vanishing point. Draw the top of the window. Line up the ruler with the vanishing point. Draw the bottom of the window. The sides of the window are going to be vertical lines that are just parallel to my other vertical lines. A lot of different ways that you could draw your window. I think I want just like a 4 panes in my window. Lining this up with the vanishing point, always using the vanishing point. Now I'm going to make this horizontal piece right here with the vanishing point. Then the vertical ones are going to be parallel. Now I can erase the lines I don't need. If I wanted to, I could add a scene outside, you know, whatever I want to be happening outside there. I could add that, but I've got a window. There's lots of different ways to draw windows, like I said. You can experiment with that. I'm going to draw another one over here. Oops, that was a really light line. Those lines coming from the vanishing point. Vertical lines have to be parallel. Parallel. And then you can draw just like vertical lines in the window if you would like to. They would have more spacing in between them as they come out away from the vanishing point. So maybe I want to do it like that. The next one will be slightly closer. The next one will again be a little closer. A little closer. But keeping them vertical and parallel. Oh, you can see I stopped paying attention to my lines being parallel. And now, do you see how that one's at an angle? And now it doesn't look right, right? So I'm going to erase that. A few of them are off, so I'm gonna just, there we go. Could draw your windows like that if you want the horizontal lines. Do that too. Then you've got a window there. Maybe you want the border around it. Should use your ruler for that. Vertical parallel line. Line coming from the vanishing point. Vanishing point. Vanishing point for that upper line. Parallel vertical line. And then erase the lines that you don't need. You can decide which kind of window you like better, or make up your own. You could add curtains. You could make a poster, like I could make a poster on this back wall here. If I were to make a poster on the back wall, I wouldn't need to use the vanishing point. I would just make parallel lines to the box that I drew. Because it's on the back wall and only on the back wall. If that makes sense to you. Maybe there you want to draw a poster for your favorite movie. Next, I am going to draw a rug by the bed. This line coming from the vanishing point. The other side coming from the vanishing point. And then parallel lines. Parallel line to the bottom of the paper. And then this line's going to need to be a little longer, so I'm going to use my ruler to elongate that. There we go. You could make a design in your rug. Remember that the design will get bigger as it comes towards us away from the vanishing point. You could make a checkered rug. I want to add wood floors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ruler I'm going to add evenly spaced marks here where the boards are going to start, the wood boards. I'm going to do like a 1/2 inch. I'm still going to mark here because I'm still going to use those lines to guide my vanishing, where I line it up with the vanishing point. Okay, so now using my ruler, I'm lining it up with the vanishing point and the line that I made just to have my boards evenly spaced. I don't like that line. There we go. Vanishing point and the line that I made. Now we wouldn't see the wood board here because it would be under the carpet, but we would see it come out the other end of the rug. Okay, next one. always checking. See, now when I moved my ruler, it moved off the vanishing point. So I always need to check and make sure I'm right on the vanishing point. Right on the vanishing point. Now this one I'm not going to start up here because the bed's here, so I'm going to start it right here where the bed ends. I'm going to go to my next one, vanishing point, and the line that I marked to keep the boards evenly spaced. Vanishing point. And looks like, oh, let's see. Looks like I might have missed one. Oh, yep, I did. Skipped one. And this one I got a little off. So draw lightly. Because I could tell that those were not evenly spaced. So I'm just going to fix that quick. Okay, so that one's right there. Vanishing point, my mark that I made to have the boards be evenly spaced. And there. That's better. Now I have one more here. Okay, so then I have the lines of the floor. I'm going to continue those over here. A common mistake that people make when they are doing this is they forget to check and make sure their ruler is always staying lined up with the vanishing point. Alright, so now I have a wood floor here. If I wanted, I could make it like a checkered floor by making vertical lines, or horizontal lines that get further apart as they come towards me. So you could do that if you wanted, and you could color every other one in. I'll show you what I mean. I'm just going to draw lightly because I don't necessarily want to make a whole checkered floor, but let's say I did that. And I could color in every other square. And you see how that would make a checkered floor, like would be more appropriate for a kitchen floor or something. But you could do that. You could make something over here in this space. You could add more to the back wall. You could add a lamp or like a hanging light to the ceiling. Lots of things that you could do. So feel free to add more embellishments to your piece. You don't want to erase the vanishing point until you're all done with your drawing. But once you are completely finished with that drawing, then you can go ahead and erase the vanishing point. But definitely don't do that until you need to, after you've used it to finish your drawing. You could also do this checkered thing on the carpet and leave the wood boards as they are. Maybe you want to make a window on your door. Using parallel lines because it's on the back wall here. You could do the, the crisscross panels on your door using your ruler, or you could just leave it as an open window. And again, if you want to add things happening outside, you can. So that is 1 point perspective. And the reason we call it 1 point perspective is because there is one vanishing point. Okay, so next we'll do 2 point perspective, where you will literally have 2 vanishing points. Okay? All right, I hope you enjoy trying out 1 point perspective.